What if the United States disappeared? Why even ask this question? Because our world is more connected than it looks on the map. The United States isn't just a country, it's a cornerstone. Its economy, military, and culture link together systems that billions of people depend on every single day. So asking what if the US disappeared isn't fantasy. It's a way to see how fragile our world really is. Imagine waking up to a planet where the United States is simply gone. No Washington, no New York, no California, just empty ocean and vanished land. The fallout wouldn't just reshape America, it would redraw the entire globe. So what happens first if the US vanished? The US military is the backbone of dozens of alliances. From NATO in Europe to security guarantees in Asia, American bases stretch across more than 800 locations worldwide. Remove that overnight, and rivals move fast. Russia pushes deeper into Eastern Europe. China eyes Taiwan and the South China Sea. Regional conflicts that were once contained suddenly explode without the American umbrella. But here's the twist. Without US dominance, some regions might actually stabilize under local balances of power. Others, they become powder kegs. Take Europe. Without the US through NATO, countries like Germany and Poland might feel compelled to rapidly rearm. In the short term, that rearmament could spark dangerous rivalries. In the long run, it might stabilize under a stronger EU-led defense pact. In East Asia, things get volatile fast, without the US Navy patrolling the Pacific. China suddenly has a clear path to assert dominance in the South China Sea and Taiwan. Japan and South Korea would likely accelerate militarization, even nuclear programs. A region already tense would tip toward explosive. Meanwhile, some regions might calm down. The Middle East, US withdrawal could remove a major external player. Without Washington backing Israel or Saudi Arabia, some conflicts might burn out quicker, though Iran's rise could spiral unchecked. In Africa, less US military presence might mean fewer proxy conflicts, giving regional powers more autonomy. But the military picture is just one layer. Imagine looking at the map itself, because without the United States, the geography of the planet literally changes. If the United States physically vanished, the map itself would change. The Atlantic and Pacific Oceans merge, where North America once stood. Canada suddenly has a brand new southern coastline stretching thousands of kilometers. Mexico no longer shares a land border with the US. Instead, it faces a vast sea. Global shipping lanes shift dramatically. The Panama Canal loses its biggest customer. The Caribbean becomes a new crossroads of trade, while also becoming vulnerable to piracy and competition. The geography isn't just different. It reshapes every map, every border, every trade route, and once the land is gone, the economy follows. The disappearance of the US doesn't just redraw coastlines, it shakes the very foundation of global trade and finance. The US economy represents roughly a quarter of the world's GDP. Remove it, and the entire global financial system seizes up. The dollar, the world's reserve currency, vanishes. Stock markets collapse. Global trade halts overnight. Countries like China, Japan, and Germany, which are heavily dependent on US consumers, would face unprecedented recessions. Oil producers lose their largest buyer. Tech supply chains snap in half, but others seize opportunities. India could rise as a manufacturing hub. The EU might step in as the world's financial anchor. Still, the shockwaves would last decades. But money isn't the only thing lost. Think about the goods in your home, your phone, even your medicine. Without the US, global supply chains unravel overnight. Think about your phone, your laptop, your car. So many parts are either made in the US, designed in the US, or passed through US companies. Without the US, industries from aerospace to pharmaceuticals face chaos. Boeing planes, gone. Microsoft and Apple infrastructure, fragmented. Amazon's global logistics web collapsed. Suddenly, countries scrambled to rebuild supply chains, often at much higher costs. Everyday goods, from medicine to electronics, become scarce. And when supply chains collapse, nations turn desperate, which leads us straight into the fight for resources. The US isn't just a consumer. It's a producer. Oil, natural gas, wheat, corn, rare earth minerals. Remove all of that, and the world turns to other suppliers. The Middle East and Russia step in for energy. Brazil, Argentina, and Ukraine rise as breadbaskets. Africa becomes central for minerals. But this triggers new rivalries. Who controls cobalt in Congo? Who dominates lithium for batteries? Green energy, which depends heavily on rare earths, slows down or ignites new conflicts over who controls the mines. Without America, resource wars become the new normal. But wars aren't only fought with weapons. They're also fought with ideas and technology. And without America, innovation itself takes a hit. From Silicon Valley to NASA, the US has driven global innovation for decades. Without it, progress stumbles. Think about the internet. Most of its infrastructure, like servers, platforms, and companies, are American. Remove them, and the web fractures into regional internets, controlled by China, Europe, or regional powers. Open source projects, many powered by US developers and universities, grind to a halt. Medical research loses a huge share of funding. Space exploration slows without NASA and SpaceX. The dream of a connected world becomes a patchwork. And behind all of this, beyond the maps and markets, are the people. Because the loss of America wouldn't just be global, it would be deeply human. Here's the most personal part. What about the people? Over 330 million Americans vanish. That's entire diasporas cut off. Families across borders broken overnight. Millions of dual citizens worldwide lose relatives, culture, and connections. Humanitarian crisis ripple outward. Refugees who once found safety in America suddenly have no home to turn to. International aid, much of it funded by the US, collapses, leaving countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America scrambling. The world doesn't just lose land or money, it loses people, culture, and identity. And when people are left vulnerable, nations respond. Old powers fade, new alliances rise, and the world reshapes its politics in real time. Without America, nations scramble to reorganize. Europe could attempt to strengthen its union, though fractures are always possible. China would likely cement a new bloc with Russia, pulling in parts of Central Asia and Africa through trade and energy ties. But new, unexpected alliances could rise too. Imagine Japan, South Korea, and Australia forming a Pacific partnership to counterbalance China. Or India leading a South Asian coalition as the new voice of the global South. The absence of the US doesn't just leave gaps. It forces entirely new political maps to be drawn. But here's the big question. Would a world without the US be all bad? The truth is, some effects might be devastating, while others could open unexpected opportunities. Not everything is collapse. There are silver linings. Without American dominance, some nations rise. Regional powers gain independence to act without interference. Developing countries may seize opportunities to claim resources or markets, but the costs are enormous. Wars, instability, poverty, famine, fractured technology, and decades of rebuilding. It's a reminder. Power doesn't vanish quietly. It creates waves, and those are waves the world must either ride or drown in. So in the end, the disappearance of America doesn't mean the end of the world. But it does mean the end of the world we know. The world doesn't end, but it changes forever. Economies implode. Wars erupt. Alliances shift. And humanity is forced to rebuild without one of its greatest engines. It's a reminder of why these what-if questions matter. Our world is deeply interconnected, and removing one piece shows just how fragile the rest really is. Which country should we explore next? What would the world look like without it? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe and join Map My Nation for more fascinating videos.